Police Academy once had audiences in stitches with its timeless comedy and unforgettable characters from the 1980s. But behind the spotlight, many of the stars from this beloved series passed away under tragic and unexpected circumstances you wouldn't believe. Join us as we revisit the memories and pay tribute to the talented actors who brought Police Academy to life, forever living on in the hearts of fans. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's dive in. George Gaynes as Commandant Eric Lessard. George Gaynes, born George Jongaschans, was born on May 16, 1917 in Helsinki, when Finland was still part of the Russian Empire. In 1984, when he was 67 years old, an age when many choose to retire, he took on the role that would make him unforgettable. Commandant Eric Lessard in the Police Academy series. Clumsy, eccentric, yet lovable, his character provided the comedic soul for all 7 films, continuing until 1994, when he was 77 years old. Before finding fame in Hollywood, Gaynes served as a translator for the Royal Dutch Navy during World War II, seeing action in Sicily, Anzio, and the Adriatic Sea. He survived the war and turned to the arts after immigrating to the U.S., starting out on Broadway. There, he played roles like Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady and captivated audiences with his commanding operatic voice. Behind the scenes, Gaynes lived a life free from scandal and blemish, a rarity in show business. He married actress Alan Ann McClary in 1953 and remained devoted for 62 years until the day he died. But his life was not without heartbreak. In 1989, his son, Matthew Gaynes, a talented kayaker selected for the U.S. Olympic team, was killed in a car crash in India while traveling to Nepal for an ESPN program. That loss was a devastating blow to a gentle, private father. After that tragedy, Gaynes gradually stepped away from the spotlight. Though he appeared in a few films like Vanya on 42nd Street, 1994, Wag the Dog, 1997, and Just Married, 2003, he chose a quiet life with family, far from the chaos of Hollywood. George Gaynes passed away on February 15, 2016, at his daughter's home in North Bend, Washington, when he was 98 years old. The cause was old age, a peaceful end to a long, dedicated life. He left behind a net worth estimated at around $5 million, mostly earned from a career that spanned more than half a century. David Graff as Eugene Tackleberry. David Graff was born on April 16, 1950, in Zanesville, Ohio. When he played Officer Eugene Tackleberry in Police Academy in 1984, he was 34 years old, a relatively unknown actor at the time. Yet with just one role, he became iconic. Tackleberry, the gun-obsessed officer whose extreme devotion to justice was somehow both ridiculous and endearing. The role followed him through all 7 films from 1984 to 1994 and made him a global favorite. However, after the series, Graff's career began to stall. He took on many supporting or guest roles in shows like The West Wing, Star Trek, Family Matters, and Seinfeld. Though talented and beloved, none of those roles surpassed the shadow of Tackleberry. His artistic life mirrored his characters, strong on the outside but quietly unsettled within. Graff married actress Katharine Graff in 1983, and they had 2 sons. Family life seemed to be his rare source of peace. No scandals, no addictions, no public vices. But tragedy struck in the most sudden and heartbreaking way. On April 7, 2001, while attending his brother-in-law's wedding in Phoenix, Arizona, he collapsed from a heart attack. Despite immediate medical attention, he did not survive. He died just 9 days before his 51st birthday, the same age at which his own father had died from a heart attack. A cruel twist of fate, as if heart disease haunted their bloodline. David Graff was buried at Forest Rose Cemetery in his hometown of Lancaster, Ohio. At the time of his death, His net worth was estimated around $1 million, a modest sum considering the joy he brought to millions. To his fans, he was Tackleberry, the quirky soldier with a childlike heart who could make the world laugh without trying too hard. Marion Ramsey as Laverne Hooks. Marion Ramsey was born on May 10, 1947, in Philadelphia. In 1984, when she was 37 years old, she made her debut as Officer Laverne Hooks in Police Academy. Petite, soft-spoken, and endearingly timid, Marion created a classic character. Hooks could whisper like a breeze, but also roar like thunder when pushed. She portrayed Hooks through 6 films from 1984 to 1989, winning the hearts of audiences worldwide. Despite her standout talent in both singing and acting, Marion Ramsey spent many years in minor or overlooked roles across stage and screen. Before she became widely known, she drifted through programs like The Jeffersons and Cos, while quietly doing voice work, writing music, and taking small gigs to stay afloat. It was a stressful time, especially when Hollywood still offered limited opportunities for black female performers. Off-screen, Marion lived a very private and solitary life. She never married, had no children, and rarely revealed any romantic relationships. Those close to her said Marion gave her heart entirely to performance, music, and community work. She was especially passionate about HIV/AIDS awareness campaigns, perhaps because she had seen too many peers pass away quietly, just as she later would. No one knew she was ill until the news came suddenly. On January 7, 2021, Marion Ramsey passed away at her home in Los Angeles when she was 73 years old. The cause was complications from cancer. Her net worth at the time of her death was estimated at $1 million, modest yet reflective of a life that never chased glamour, only quiet dedication. Howard Hesseman as Pete Lassard. Howard Hesseman was born on February 27, 1940, in Oregon, and stepped into the role of Pete Lassard, Commandant Lassard's bumbling but lovable brother, in Police Academy 2 when he was 45 years old. The role brought a fresh dynamic to the comedy series and expanded Hesseman's image as a familiar television presence. Still, Pete Lassard was just one small note in a career that spanned more than 5 decades, from rebellious DJ to idealistic teacher on TV. Hesseman's life was a constant tug-of-war between rebellion and convention. He was once arrested for marijuana possession in 1966, lived freely among San Francisco's hippie circles, and performed with the comedy troupe The Committee. But his real-life experience as a radio DJ became the foundation for his most iconic role, Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP in Cincinnati. The burned-out, wild, but deeply human DJ earned him 2 Emmy nominations and turned him into a symbol of 1970s to 1980s television. Hesseman married twice. After a brief marriage to Catherine Maison, he spent 33 years with actress Caroline Ducroc, a rare, enduring love in the entertainment world. In his later years, he battled colorectal cancer and underwent surgery. Despite fighting bravely, he died from post-operative complications on January 29, 2022, in Los Angeles, just weeks before his 82nd birthday. Howard Hesseman's net worth was estimated at $5 million, well earned from hundreds of roles, both major and minor, in American film and television. Art Metrano as Lieutenant Mauser. Art Metrano was born on September 22, 1936, in Brooklyn, New York. When he took on the role of the scheming Lieutenant Mauser in Police Academy 2 and 3, he was 49 years old. Metrano won over audiences with his charming performance, a foolish, ambitious villain whose plans always backfired in hilarious ways. His Mauser remains one of the most comical antagonists in the entire series. But Metrano's life wasn't defined by laughter alone. In 1989, tragedy struck. He fell off a ladder while doing home repairs and suffered a severe spinal cord injury, resulting in quadriplegia. At the height of his career, the accident abruptly halted all his artistic plans. It took years of physical therapy before he could walk again with crutches, and he relied on a motorized wheelchair for mobility. Instead of surrendering to fate, Metrano transformed his tragedy into stage material, touring with a one-man show called Jews Don't Belong on Ladders, an accidental comedy. The show both raised funds for spinal injury support and served as his own emotional therapy. During his recovery, Metrano even filed a lawsuit against Family Guy for copying his signature finger magic act, proof that he fiercely protected his artistic legacy. After settling out of court, he retired to Florida with his second wife, Jamie, and 4 children, where he ran a small frozen yogurt shop and lived quietly. He once said, "I may not be on stage anymore, but I can still make people smile every day." On September 8, 2021, he passed away at his home in Aventura, Florida, at the age of 84. While the cause was officially listed as natural, the accident from years prior remained a defining event of his later life. At the time of his passing, his estimated net worth was around $2 million. A testament to an artist who never gave up in the face of adversity. Bubba Smith as Moses Hightower. Charles Aaron Bubba Smith was born on February 28, 1945, in Orange, Texas. When he stepped into the role of Officer Moses Hightower in Police Academy in 1984, he was 39 years old. Towering over 2 meters tall, Hightower, intimidating in size but gentle in spirit, quickly became one of the series' most beloved characters. Bubba Smith appeared in the first 6 films, continuing through 1989. But behind the silver screen was a life filled with loss and unresolved pain. A college football legend honored at Michigan State, Bubba had once dreamed of playing for the University of Texas, only to be denied because of his skin color. That racial rejection drove him to redirect all his anger and talent toward the field. He reached the peak when he was picked first overall in the 1967 NFL Draft and later won Super Bowl V with the Baltimore Colts. Yet he never got over his loss in Super Bowl III, refusing to wear his championship ring, calling it a scar that never healed. In 1972, a serious injury at Tampa Stadium after crashing into a steel pole forced him into early retirement and launched a 6-year legal battle with the NFL. The lawsuit drained him both physically and emotionally and marked a turning point that pulled him away from the sport. Transitioning to acting, he found fame as the gentle giant Hightower in Police Academy and as a driver in Stroker Ace, 1983, with Burt Reynolds, building a net worth estimated around $7.5 million, earned through 2 grueling yet glorious careers in football and film. Despite his success, Bubba Smith lived alone in his later years. On August 3, 2011, he was found dead at his home in Baldwin Hills, California. The autopsy revealed a shocking truth. He died from an overdose of the weight loss drug phentermine, combined with severe heart disease. His heart weighed twice the normal size. It was later confirmed that he suffered from CTE, a degenerative brain disease caused by repeated head trauma, a lasting consequence of his years on the field. George R. Robertson as Chief Henry J. Hurst. George Ross Robertson was born on April 20, 1933, in Canada. He became known to international audiences when he was 51 years old, taking on the role of Chief Henry J. Hurst, the stern but humane police leader in Police Academy. From the first film in 1984 through the 6th in 1989, he appeared consistently, portraying a firm, occasionally flustered authority figure who balanced order and the comedic chaos of the cadets. The role made him a familiar face and a symbol of stability in one of the most successful comedy franchises of the 1980s. Few knew that behind that composed presence was a slow-burning artistic journey. Before Police Academy, George R. Robertson had been a persistent actor in Canadian television, often overshadowed by the dominance of U.S. productions. His career spanned more than 80 screen appearances, though few brought widespread acclaim. Only later, when he portrayed Dick Cheney in ABC's controversial docudrama The Path to 9/11, did his intense presence and depth in political roles earn broader recognition. In his final years, he acted less frequently, retiring in Toronto and quietly stepping away from the limelight. He continued to support local arts programs, though he declined to attend high-profile reunion events, even as fans continued to remember him fondly. He passed away on January 29, 2023, in Toronto, at the age of 89, after battling heart disease. His estimated net worth was around $1 million, a reflection of a steady, enduring career in Canadian cinema. Ed Nelson as Governor Neilson. Edwin Stafford. Nelson was born on December 21, 1928, in New Orleans, Louisiana. When he appeared in Police Academy 3, back in training in 1986, he was 58 years old. He played Governor Neilson, a powerful, principled figure representing law and order in the midst of the franchise's chaotic, comedic universe. His role brought necessary gravity and closure to the storyline, just as the image of Ed Nelson had long symbolized strength and integrity. Ed Nelson didn't enter the arts through glamour. He served in the U.S. Navy as a radio operator and worked hard in the 1950s to build his reputation in low-budget Roger Corman films like Attack of the Crab Monsters and Teenage Caveman. His big break came in 1964 when he was cast as Dr. Michael Rossi in the TV series Peyton Place. The 5-year run made him a household name and one of the most respected television actors of the 1960s. His personal life was equally grounded. Ed remained devoted to his only wife, Patsy, and raised 6 children. Notably, at the peak of his fame, he stepped away from the spotlight to run for city council in San Dimas, hoping to serve the community. However, due to broadcasting laws that required equal airtime for all candidates, he had to withdraw and gradually distanced himself from politics, shifting his focus to teaching. In his final years, he returned to New Orleans to teach and complete the college degree he had left unfinished in his youth. But chronic heart failure weakened him over time, and he passed away on August 9, 2014, in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the age of 85. His estimated net worth was around $2 million, enough to support a modest life among children and grandchildren, including Christopher S. Nelson, who followed in his father's acting footsteps. Deborah Lee Scott as Cadet Fackler. Deborah Lee Scott was born on April 2, 1953, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. When she was 33 years old, she appeared in Police Academy 3, back in training, 1986, as Cadet Debbie Fackler, a clumsy but enthusiastic recruit who often caused chaos in the most unexpected situations. Fackler brought a signature kind of humor to the screen and became a bright spot in the franchise. This role also marked one of her final film appearances before stepping away from the spotlight. Off-screen, Deborah Lee's life was far less joyful than the smiles she brought to television. She had a short-lived marriage with actor Jonathan Frakes, but their relationship deteriorated and they divorced in 1986, leaving emotional scars that never quite healed. Later, she found new hope in her relationship with John Dennis Levi, a New York Port Authority police officer. They got engaged and planned to marry, but tragedy struck when Dennis was killed during the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. From that moment on, Deborah Lee seemed to lose her last source of strength, and her mental health began to decline. Unable to overcome the grief, she withdrew from show business and turned to work as a talent agent in New York. In her final years, she lived a private life and began to struggle with health issues. According to family members, she developed a dependence on alcohol, a quiet form of self-destruction that emerged after her fiancé's death. Complications from cirrhosis led to a coma in 2005. Although she briefly recovered and was released from the hospital on her 52nd birthday, Deborah Lee died suddenly in her sleep 3 days later in Dallas, Texas. Her estimated net worth at the time of her passing was around $500,000, a modest sum for someone who had once enjoyed national fame. Kenneth Mars as mayor. Kenneth Mars was born on April 4, 1935, in Chicago. In 1989, when he was 54 years old, he appeared in Police Academy 6, City Under Siege as the mayor, a respected but somewhat overwhelmed official caught in the chaos caused by the police cadets. With a portrayal that was both stern and comical, Mars gave his character a unique balance, standing out in a film full of wild antics. Mars was never a leading man by appearance, but he was unforgettable for his voice. From his role as the maniacal Nazi playwright in The Producers, 1967, to the eccentric German inspector in Young Frankenstein, 1974, Mars specialized in quirky, over-the-top characters with exaggerated accents. He had a career that spanned nearly 50 years, appearing in hundreds of TV shows and stage productions, but it was his voice work that made him legendary. He voiced King Triton in The Little Mermaid and Grandpa Longneck in The Land Before Time, leaving behind an immortal mark in animation. Despite his vast and diverse career, Kenneth Mars lived a simple and private life. He married Barbara Newborn in 1977, and they remained together until his death, raising 2 daughters. He stayed clear of scandals and fame-chasing, devoting himself to his craft until the very end. In 2006, Mars was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a brutal illness that quickly took hold of his body. The greatest heartbreak came when he had to give up his voice roles, including King Triton, a character remembered for the strength, warmth, and authority in Mars's voice. Kenneth Mars passed away on February 12, 2011, at the age of 75, after nearly 5 years of private battle with the disease. His estimated net worth at the time was around $3 million, a fitting figure for a man whose legacy stood tall in both animation and comedy. René Auberjonois as Tony. René Marie Murat Auberjonois was born on June 1, 1940, in Manhattan, New York. In 1988, when he was 48 years old and already a respected name on Broadway, he appeared in Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach, as Tony, a clever and charming man who always found a way to bend the rules amid the chaos of the goofy cadets. The role was small but showcased the grace, wit, and depth of a performer honed by decades on stage and screen. René was never loud or flashy, but he was a quiet giant in the acting world. From his Tony Award-winning performance in Coco alongside Katharine Hepburn in 1970 to his role as the shape-shifting but deeply human Odo in Star Trek. Deep Space Nine, he brought authenticity to even the most unusual characters. With a resonant voice, Auberjonois also found tremendous success in voice acting, from King Triton in The Little Mermaid to dozens of roles in Batman, Ben 10, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Fallout, New Vegas, and Archer. His range and versatility earned him admiration from both film fans and gamers worldwide. Behind the accolades was a man facing a silent battle. In 2018, René was diagnosed with lung cancer. By 2019, it had spread to his brain. Rather than undergo radiation treatment, which risked damaging his memory and cognitive abilities, he chose another path. Under California's End-of-Life Option Act, René Auberjonois declined invasive treatment and chose to pass peacefully, surrounded by his wife, children, and favorite music. He died on December 8, 2019, at the age of 79. The cause was metastatic lung cancer. His net worth was estimated at $5 million, not flashy but reflective of a deep, dignified, and meaningful career. René Auberjonois chose to live and die on his own terms, with grace, artistry, and humanity. Diana Bellamy as nurse. Diana Alice Bellamy was born on September 19, 1943, in Los Angeles, California. In 1985, when she was 42 years old, she appeared in Police Academy 2. Their first assignment as a nurse, a minor character portrayed with calm, devotion, and gentleness amidst a whirlwind of absurdity. The role was short, but it clearly reflected the quiet nuance Bellamy brought to every part, large or small. Behind the scenes, her life was filled with immense physical hardship. In her final years, Diana fought a triple burden of terminal illnesses: cancer, diabetes, and blindness. Yet she never walked away from acting. Even as her health deteriorated, she continued performing in film and TV, accumulating more than 80 roles from the late 1980s to 2001. In a 1999 interview, she said candidly, "I tried crying and raging over the blindness, but that got boring. I learned to live with it the best I could." Diana Bellamy died on June 17, 2001, at her home in Valley Village, Los Angeles, due to complications from heart disease. She was 57 years old. Her funeral was held at the Court Theater, and her ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean, a gentle goodbye to the world she had served so faithfully. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at around $500,000, far too little for all she had given. Tab Thacker as Tommy House Conklin, Talmadge Lane. Tab Thacker was born on March 10, 1962, in North Carolina. When he was 25 years old, he joined the Police Academy series as Tommy House Conklin, a towering giant nearly 2 meters tall and weighing over 200 kilograms, with the heart of a child. House was clumsy, slow, but loyal and warm, a character that closely mirrored Tab's real-life persona. His appearance in parts 4 and 5 quickly won over audiences, making him an essential comedic presence in the large ensemble cast. Few people knew that before entering the film industry, Tab was an outstanding wrestler. He won numerous national titles and earned the nickname the Gentle Monster at NC State, where he majored in criminal justice. However, upon moving to Hollywood, even catching the attention of Clint Eastwood, his acting career didn't last as long as expected. Due to his massive frame and unique appearance, he was often typecast in shallow comedic roles. After a few film appearances, he stepped away from entertainment and returned to his hometown, hoping for a quieter life. But life after Hollywood proved difficult. Tab started a remodeling business and later ran a nightclub, but both ventures were fraught with risk and financial strain. He never married or had children, and his health began to deteriorate significantly. His heavy build made him susceptible to illness, and eventually, cancer struck. Tab fought the disease in silence, far from public attention, as it slowly consumed him from within. On December 28, 2007, Tab Thacker passed away at the age of 45 from complications related to cancer. His estimated net worth at the time of death was around $500,000. Not much for a former national champion and film actor who once walked the red carpet. James Hampton as mayor of Miami. James Wade Hampton was born on July 9, 1936, in Oklahoma City. When he was 52 years old, he appeared in Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach, 1988, as the mayor of Miami, a naive, humorous mayor constantly caught in awkward situations created by the wacky police force. Though a supporting role, Hampton added a unique flair and became a charming highlight in one of the decade's most popular comedies. James Hampton's journey to Hollywood was anything but smooth. After serving in the military in Germany and performing with the USO, he returned to the U.S., working as a bodyguard and photojournalist before finding his calling in stage and television acting. His role as caretaker in The Longest Yard, 1974, not only earned him a Golden Globe nomination, but also pulled him out of the shadows of uncredited roles. His private life was as quiet as his acting style. It wasn't until 2002 that he married actress Mary Dees, after many years as a single father to his 3 children, James, Andrea, and Frank. In his final years, James battled Parkinson's disease, a long, painful journey marked by diminishing mobility, speech, and the ability to act. But he never complained. Instead, he chose to live quietly, surrounded by family, leaving behind the image of a calm, devoted artist who gave everything without asking for applause. James Hampton passed away on April 7, 2021, in Fort Worth, Texas, at the age of 84. He died in the arms of his family after years of fighting illness. His estimated net worth at the time was about $2 million. Arthur Botanides, as Old Man Kirkland. Arthur Botanides was born on April 9, 1923, in Tacoma, Washington, when he joined Police Academy. Their first assignment in 1985, he was 62 years old and played Old Man Kirkland, a cranky, eccentric character with a dry wit and sharp tongue. Kirkland became a comic standout in the film and exemplified the type of grumpy but lovable supporting roles that Arthur Botanides had perfected throughout his career. His passion for acting emerged naturally during wartime, entertaining American troops in Europe during World War II through monologues. After the war, he studied acting seriously at the Actors Lab in Los Angeles, gaining stage experience before transitioning to film and television. Though he never became a leading man, he was a familiar face in dozens of popular series, including Star Trek, Mission Impossible, The Twilight Zone, Columbo, Perry Mason, and Bonanza. Tragically, Arthur Botanides passed away on January 10, 2000, in Los Angeles due to complications from a stroke. He was 76 years old. His death was quiet, much like the way he lived and worked. His net worth at the time was estimated at $500,000, a modest figure reflecting decades of steady work, never flashy but always reliable. Though he never graced magazine covers to fans of classic American television and film, Arthur Botanides remains the unforgettable, eccentric old man, the soul of stories meant to make us laugh, but that somehow stay with us forever. The stars of Police Academy left behind unforgettable memories for audiences around the world, even as many of them departed under tragic and painful circumstances. Which character from the series is your favorite? Which story moved you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to follow us as we continue honoring the legends of cinema.